This conference will now be recorded.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Hunter Mozingo bringing you your daily market insight video for Monday, August the 2nd. It is about 10 minutes after market close here in Jacksonville, Florida, approximately 4:09 p.m. Eastern Time. And in this market insight video, we're going to discuss the importance of identifying true leadership. We're going to look at some of that true leadership in the current market environment and also some leadership that might be starting to signal a little bit of a top in one specific area, a few specific stocks. And additionally, we're going to look at one breakout buy we made today on a monster move in a big growth stock. So we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. First, let's get to what just happened. Let's look at the indices performance, the growth action gauge, the usual, and then we'll get to the charts. So equities start strong and finish weak. For the better part of the day, 90% of the day up until the end of the day, there was all the indices were green for the most part, and you can see that the Qs only finished green by just a tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver. Everything else was down. So a really poor finish. Really, the last 45 minutes to an hour, just sold and sold and sold and leaked into the close. But there were some pockets of strength in certain areas. There's certainly some weakness on a day like today as well. We're going to get into those charts here in just a moment. The market state remains the same, uptrend with the SNL in red, and that is for small and mid caps because small caps are still struggling with the 50-day. I believe this is now the third day in a row that they haven't quite been able to get over that 50-day. Mid caps have gotten back above it, but still not looking the greatest either. So that is for that reason. The trend gauge stays the same as well. Short term, midterm, and market leaders all bullish but pointing towards neutral. The Qs, the S&P, the Dow all sitting slightly above the 21 EMA for the time being, above the 50. The mid cap slightly above the 50. Russell still struggling in that 50 to 21 area. We'll look at that in just a moment. Market leaders pointing towards neutral, as we've seen some of those leaders start to break the 21 or break the 8, where they weren't doing that as much previously as well. So lastly, before I get to the charts, this is the team at Revere. Me in the middle, Hunter Mozingo. If you have any questions or comments, you can call us 855-732-5932, or you can email me, hunter@revereasset.com. If you're interested in our strategy or what it is that Revere does, what our investment approach is, email any of these guys, Dan, Tim, Alex, Don, or myself at revereasset.com. If you have any questions whatsoever, we'd be happy to answer. So let's get to the charts and make it quick here. SPY, you can see not the most encouraging action here. Very weak close. I'll pull this up on a 5-minute so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see that there. This is starting about an hour out from the close. I mentioned it was just pretty much straight down during that time period. You can see that down 0.1% for the S&P, only about 2% above the 50, 0.5% above the 21. The Qs are going to be about 4% above the 50, 1% above the 21. Still kind of sitting right there on the 8-day exponential moving average. The Qs are still the leader for the current time. The Dow going to be right on the 21 pretty much here. You see 348 is essentially that level. We're at 348.37 here. So just a tiny bit above the 21, less than 1% above the 50. So not extended by any means necessarily on the S&P or the Dow. Q is really not all that extended anymore either, even though they'd gotten extended for a while, pulled back and then got extended again. They've now actually kind of come back to earth. And then IWM and mid caps are still the laggards. You can see reversed at the 50 3 days in a row. That's very important to look at. Ideally, small caps are able to get over this and get back above that 50. That would be something really important to watch, this 224, 225 level here. But this is what you want to take note of here. 3 failed attempts at the 50 up until this point for small caps. And then lastly, mid caps, failed attempt at 500 there, but staying above the 50-day moving average for mid caps there. So let's go ahead and talk about true leadership. Let's talk about a breakout buy that we made at Revere today. We're going to talk about Square. So Square, a 10% gap up, 500% above average volume. Actually made a run at this 283 high over here, only about $2 off of it. And so myself, Don, and Alex on a morning call discussed the fact that Square was down around the 50 about an hour and a half before market close. We said, hey, if this thing goes green, that's something we've got to pay attention to. And I will show you guys a 5-minute chart of how quickly this thing turned around. So it actually never even really opened red. It got all the way back to being pretty much flat pre-market, and right at the open in about the first 10 minutes gapped up to nearly 270. So we were buying this quick this morning. First buy around 261, second buy around 270. Ran up and touched that 280 point, but this is a massive, massive move. And not only that, but you don't even really see it on the chart because it was in the after hours. This is a reversal where Square was down 5% after hours, touched the 50. I mean, Square was 235 after hours last night and finished the day near 275. And that's a 40-point swing or $40 swing for a stock. Very impressive. So we started a position on Square today, up 10%. Certainly the leader of the day. We also started a position on Tesla, which finished weak, still up 3% for the day, still holding above that 700. That's really all that matters for the time being. We need to see that 700 level hold. But you've got Square, Tesla, and AMD are the three true leaders of the market right now. You can see AMD up 2.3, Tesla up 3%, Square up 10% on the day where the markets were flat to down. And there's volume there on all three of these names. So the three big leaders, very focused, but there are some other strong stocks, and I want to cover those very quickly here. Zscaler, we initiated a position in this stock today when it bounced off the 21 and reclaimed the 8-day. Very strong action in Zscaler, and it's been acting better than its counterpart, CrowdStrike, over the last few weeks. Secondly, Lulu, owned in-house, up 0.6% today. Not a barn burner, but it is outpacing the indices on a down day. Dynatrace, another one owned in-house. Once again, not blowing, not up 10% like Square, but still slightly green on a day where the markets were down 10 today. Nice action from Dynatrace as well. Another one that's owned in Grotection. Nvidia, also very strong, 1.2%, just holding on to the 21 here. Yeti and Crocs both acting well, and I see the reversal here. I know it's down for the day. I know there's earnings coming up, but in the same light, it was up 1.3% on a day where the S&P was down. Those are the things we want to take notice of. This is kind of a messy, all over the place chart, but it's moving higher and respecting the 8-day at the current moment. And then Crocs up about 1% for the day, actually closed very weak as well with the rest of the market, but still green on a bad day. Just some non-tech stocks here. And last few here for you, Lending Club, one we bought in Grotection not very long ago, just a few days ago on this gap up, acting very strong today, closing at the top of the range. And then Upstart, which is in a similar type of space, also strong today, up about 10%, back above the 50-day moving average, as you can see there. And last big winner, leader of the day, Ethereum, up 7%. Bitcoin and Ethereum, I know that they've been beaten up really bad. They've had big pullbacks, but they are starting to get back above some of those moving averages. So keep your eye on the cryptocurrency space, even though a lot of people are discontent with it at the time being. Now, for some laggards, I want to talk about really one in particular, XME, and that is metals and mining. So you can see the reversal today, and it really is more apparent when you look at a name like CLF. That was actually slightly green at one point today. This was a position I owned in my beta test. I sold and took my profits today around the 24.20 level, and I had sold and taken more profits around the 25 level last week. Just a very volatile name, but even if you look at a name like STLD, see STLD was strong this morning. XME, SLX were both strong this morning, finished very weak. So my only comment here on these names is, in the same way I said I don't care about them unless they can get through resistance with volume, which is exactly what happened right here. They pushed through the 98 and 100 level. This is Nucor with volume. Now I want to see, does this 100 level, do these moving averages that are now below, do they begin to act as support? That's the number one thing I'm looking for here on these XME type stocks, right? So that's STLD, that's Nucor, that's Cleveland Cliffs, CLF, that's Alcoa AA, and FCX, even though this is copper. I want to see on FCX, I know it sliced right back through that 50, but does the 21 and the 8 begin to act as support? Another one is MT, which is right near all-time highs. I want to see how this acts at the 8. So not the prettiest day for these stocks, but keep an eye on how they act now at these levels that they're retesting, or these moving averages that they just got through. I think that's really important to monitor. Some other weakness today, oil and gas weak, down 2%. Can't really get anything going. Just trend certainly seems to be negative for these stocks here. I'll show you a few. Matador down another 4% today. Fang down slightly, but looking very similar. Just not even able to get back above the 8 at the current time. KRE and KBE look pretty similar to the oil and banks, or oil and gas. Can't really get anything going. Can't stay above the 21 here on KBE or KRE. Back below the 8 now. And lastly, I mentioned a possible shift in leadership, right? We went over Tesla, Square, AMD. They've really been the leaders for the better part of the last. Square really started today. Tesla and AMD have been leading a little bit for the last 2 or 3 days.